What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Cruel Fan video. College football Saturday is among us. It's going to be a fantastic weekend of college football. I can't wait to watch all of the action, and I've got plenty of things to talk about for week 5 here in the college football world. But of course, before we get to week 5, we need to break down a couple things from week 4 that are important to note, important to see, and important to know. So, first off, down goes Clemson. So fun to say those words. It's about time that Clemson gets knocked off this totem pole that they've been at the very top of for the last 4 or 5 seasons. They lose to North Carolina State, a Wolfpack team that historically is horrible against the Tigers, but they take them to double overtime, get the win. Clemson now has 2 losses on the year after losing to Georgia. So you're looking there scratching your head like, oh, they're going to miss the playoff, and they are going to miss the playoff. Who knows what happens with Clemson moving forward, but I hope they continue to lose because it's a lot of fun to watch. But that was very interesting to see. The other thing I want to touch on is the Baylor Bears. Are they for real? I mean, seriously, this is a Baylor team that came in, no expectations, the Big 12, losing Texas, losing Oklahoma. They really just need someone to step up, is the big emphasis on that. The Big 12 needed a team to say, hey, we can take over. And Baylor has done that this year. They knock off Iowa State, who everyone thought was going to be the team that stepped up. And the Cyclones haven't done it. So Baylor hosting the Cyclones last week, they knock them off. Huge game for Dave Aranda as the head coach there. That's something that he really needed to get going. And so I was massively impressed with the way that they were able to control the Cyclones from start to finish. The last thing I want to touch on is Vegas must be crazy. It's very rare that the Heisman favorite heading into the season actually wins, but with Spencer Rattler, it's a whole nother story. This dude isn't even in top 20 QB talk in college football. He was somehow the Heisman favorite. He and Oklahoma continue to almost be upset week after week. He looks bad at the QB position, and I'm just scratching my head over how they got that pick so wrong coming into the season. So Spencer Rattler has not been impressive to watch so far, in my opinion. And we'll see if he can close out the season strong for Oklahoma as he did last year, but I'm not so sold that that will happen. So now moving into week 5, a couple of games I really like. I'm going to give you a best bet here at the very end of the video, but let's talk about moves in the poll. Going up to number 4, Penn State, they move up from number 6, and that's important solely because whenever you're in the top 4 and you're in the playoff contention, that's important to note. Number 8, Arkansas. This team coming in, last year was such a strong year for them, and people thought, all right, can Arkansas really build on this? Yes, they can. Huge game. Probably the biggest game this program has had in the last 10 years coming up this weekend. Number 15, Michigan. They haven't beat anyone. That's really impressive, but you have to say, okay, are the Wolverines for real? Has Harbaugh finally figured it out? And maybe is this the year that they beat Ohio State, who's not at their strongest right now? Probably not, but it's fun to think about. And then number 25, Clemson. You just got to laugh. I mean, they move all the way back. They start the year at number 3, and they were at number 9 last week, and now they've fallen almost out of the top 25 altogether. I would love to see them completely slip out, make my day. But Clemson, just brutal how they have fallen, the almighty. So will Alabama scare us again? That's what I'm bringing into this week. They've got a tough game against Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin has his team rolling, and this was a great game last year. They went for over 100 points. The offenses were rolling, and the same should be the case here. 2 great offenses. Alabama has a legit D, but I would love to see Lane Kiffin take it to him from start to finish. Should be a great game. I think Alabama gets the win, but all in all, that should be a fun one to watch. 2 games of the week for me that I am really excited for. Baylor, Oklahoma State, 2 ranked teams inside the Big 12, 21 and 19 respectively. This game being played in Stillwater should be a good one, and this is for the marbles in the Big 12 for me. If Baylor can pull off an upset here, come back and play in Waco next week as probably a top 15 team, you got to be on the lookout for them. Second one I'm really interested in is Boston College, Clemson. Boston College plays Clemson really well. Took them to the wire last year. Couldn't get the win, but wouldn't it be epic if BC hands a second straight loss to Clemson? I would be all over it. I'd be so happy for that one. And then finally, bet of the week goes to Arkansas, plus 17. Plus 17. Are you serious? I don't know how you get that number for a team that's beat Texas and Texas A&M. Georgia's legit, but this Arkansas team is fun to watch, and I think that's a disrespectful line. So Arkansas is my pick there. Should be a fun Saturday, and as always, can't wait to talk to you next week, recap what happened this weekend, and then talk about what's going to go on next weekend.